is probably the most historical program that you can do if you're visiting Alaska. And we call it it's the 20-day Alaska and Klondike Gold Rush program. And many people think that, that the gold rush actually took place in the state of Alaska. Does anybody remember listening to Sergeant Preston and the Yukon on the radio? Very popular program. And that was all about Dawson City and Whitehorse. Alaska is a state that Yukon is a territory of Canada, so they're two different parts. But the Klondike Gold Rush actually took place in Dawson City, Yukon Territory. But the gold seekers came out of the Pacific Northwest, Seattle, etc., and worked their way up. They entered Alaska at the port of Skagway, thus giving Skagway the city of the gold rush capital of the North. That's where the miners entered. Then they went up through that treacherous Chilkoot Pass, up through Whitehorse, and up the Klondike Gold Trail into Dawson City. So on this particular program, we're going to experience 5 days of the Klondike historical gold rush area, plus 7 days on the interior of Alaska, plus a 7-day cruise back to Vancouver. So it's kind of almost 3 trips in one. Now, on this particular program, if you've already done a cruise to Alaska or one of the Canadian Rockies programs and would just like to do the land portion, we can segregate that for you, separate it, so you can do the land-only portion, fly into Anchorage and back out of Anchorage back into Minneapolis. So with this particular program on the 20-day, you would fly from Minneapolis into Anchorage, overnight in Anchorage. Then we're going to come up through the Matanuska-Susitna Valley. And that's the area where all of the farmland of Alaska is. In fact, that's the area when President Roosevelt created the New Deal and gave the land to the farmers from Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, and that one lonely family from the state of Oklahoma. That's where it was. It was right up in the city of Palmer, Alaska. So we'll visit all that area. We'll come across through the Matanuska Valley. The Matanuska Glacier, which is one of the largest glaciers of Alaska, sits right in here. And then we're going to come down to this little area called the Denali Princess Lodge, or excuse me, the Copper River Princess Lodge, and that happens to overlook the Wrangell-St. Elias National Park. Has anybody in the room heard of the Wrangell-St. Elias National Park? 1, 2 people. That's good, because usually I don't have that. Well, there's really no reason that you should have. It's only the largest national park in the National Park Service system. It gets no publicity whatsoever, but it contains 13.5 million acres of land, which is double Denali National Park. So this is the largest. The second largest is actually up here at the gates of the Arctic National Park. But this also contains 4 of the 5 highest peaks in North America, which the 5th one is being over in Denali. So the incredible views that you're going to get here overlooking Mount Roberts or the Wrangell-St. Elias is just incredible. We'll visit the Wrangell-St. Elias Visitor Center the next day and follow that up around those mountains around. We're going to enter the state or the territory of Yukon, overnighting in Beaver Creek, Yukon Territory. From there, we'll come down through Kluane National Park, which is the Canadian version of the Wrangell-St. Elias National Park, still with the mountains in view. I mean, it's really an incredible drive. Coming down into Whitehorse, where you're going to spend your next 2 nights. From Whitehorse, then the next day, we're going to take our motor coach and drive south to a little village of Fraser, British Columbia. And that is where you're going to board the White Pass and Yukon Railway, which is pictured right there on the bottom of your page 12 and 13. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the most scenic rail trip in North America. You are going to descend 3,200 feet down from Fraser, down through the Chilkoot Pass and into Skagway, the entrance to the gold mine, to the gold rush era in 1898. We'll spend a couple hours in Skagway visiting all of the old sites, the cemetery, the Gold Rush Cemetery, the museums, and really get a feel for the gold rush. We'll then take our motor coach up the other side of that pass, coming back into Whitehorse for your second night. We'll then take the Klondike Highway north and take that into Dawson City, where you're going to spend 2 nights. In Dawson, we'll explore all of the gold fields, the gold dredge. You'll get all the historical background and visit the museums, etc. After 2 nights in Dawson, we'll go over the top of the World Highway, re-entering the state of Alaska, and we're going to make a stop at this big village of Chicken, Alaska. And Chicken is a big metropolis. It has 14 people in it, to be exact. But it's a real unique experience. We'll have a prearranged lunch in Chicken, and then we'll come down, pick up the Alaska Highway, and then go north up the Alaska Highway into Fairbanks. Again, we're going to spend 2 nights in Fairbanks. You're going to have a full day of attractions from 8 o'clock in the morning until 8:30 in the evening. We'll then, after 2 days, board the Alaska Gold Star Rail Service. And the Alaska Gold Star Rail Service, ladies and gentlemen, is the utmost and the highest valued and the highest rated rail car in the state of Alaska. I mean, it is really the premium train to go with in Alaska. It's very, very limited, but we do it. We'll then take that 5.5-hour trip from Fairbanks down to Denali National Park. You're going to overnight in Denali National Park and go in all the way back to Kantishna and Wonder Lake. It is the utmost, the premier trip that goes into Denali. Has anybody in the room heard of Kantishna? One person. Wonder Lake? How many people have seen it? I'll bet if I talk about it, you'll understand what it is. For example, it's on the cover of this particular cruise magazine. That is Wonder Lake and the view of Mount McKinley with all the animals. Now is it coming a little more clear to you? I'm sure you've seen those pictures. Royal Caribbean has it on the inside cover of their Alaska book. Here again is the view of Wonder Lake and the view of Mount McKinley. On the Alaska Travel Industry Association, those are some of the most popular pictures that we sell to promote the city. Another cruise line has it on the inside cover of their Alaska magazine, and Celebrity Cruises elects to put it on the cover of their Alaska magazine and also on the inside cover of their Alaska magazine. The reason I'm pointing that out is because this is one of the highest expectations of visitors when they go to Alaska is to see and experience this. The truth being is that not one of these 4 tour companies that I held these books up go out to Kantishna and Wonder Lake. This is a great way to get you interested into the product, but unfortunately they don't deliver it. You are going to see it with our company. We're going to take you back and you're going to see Kantishna and Wonder Lake, which I'll be showing you a little bit more as we go into the program. We'll overnight again in Denali, and then our last night in the interior of Alaska, we're going to come down from Denali to this little burg called Talkeetna, Alaska. Has anybody heard of Talkeetna? You have. How about if I say Sicily, Alaska? Does Sicily ring a bell? Did you watch Northern Exposure? That's basically where it was written about the town of Talkeetna. They referred to it as Sicily. Dr. Greer's office is still there, and you walk into the town, you'll still see the dogs laying on the pickup trucks, and there's probably more trash in the front seat than there is in the back box of the pickup truck. But that's a typical small town Alaska. I mean, it's very unique. It's really the original Alaska. We'll spend our last night at that beautiful Talkeetna, Alaska Lodge here, and then we'll come down and board our cruise ship in Seward. Now, I'm going to go in detail now on your 7-day cruise on this tour so you'll understand for the rest of them what you'll be experiencing. So we'll leave Seward at 9 o'clock on Sunday evening. Monday morning, we're going to go up into College Fjords, which is a collection of the 16 glaciers that are named after universities throughout the U.S. We'll spend about 2 hours in College Fjords, and then we'll sail. On Monday afternoon, we'll cross the Gulf of Alaska, entering Glacier Bay on Tuesday morning, and we're going to spend the entire day of Tuesday in Glacier Bay, cruising amongst Johns Hopkins Glacier, Lampu Glacier, Grand Pacific, Margarine. So it'll be a tremendous day of glacier viewing in Glacier Bay. From Glacier Bay, then, we'll sail out that evening and around through Icy Straits and up the Lynn Canal into the twin ports of Haines and Skagway. You'll have 13 hours to spend on the shore in those ports between Haines and Skagway if you'd like. From there, we will then come back down the Lynn Canal, coming into the capital city of Juneau, where we will spend approximately 10 hours in the port of Juneau. They'll have a lot of optional activities to do there. And then the next day, we will sail, or that evening, we'll sail down through the Inside Passage into the city of Ketchikan, where we'll spend Friday about 7 hours, roughly 6 to 7 hours in the city of Ketchikan. On Saturday, we'll spend the entire day on the Inside Passage sailing between Vancouver Island and the mainland. Coming into Vancouver Sunday morning, we'll then transfer you either to the airport in Vancouver, or if you're going to fly on Sun Country Airlines, we transfer you right from the ship down to Seattle SeaTac Airport, and then you'd fly back into Minneapolis. So that is the 20-day Alaska and Klondike Gold Rush program, which is the most historical and probably the most complete product that we have.